Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Want to give a quick mention to our Patreon over at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. We've made one change. We've added one feature to that, to the Patreon. In the next couple of weeks and months, we're going to be making some other changes to the Patreon, freshening up, trying to give it best value to the friendos out there. And this week, we added a new feature called the Kip Up. Keep up with the Kip Up. You like that?
That's good.
See what I did there?
Look at that.
Yeah, the Kip.
That's some quality
keep
branding
up with the
there.
Kip. So what it is, it's just a weekly newsletter that summarizes all the big news stories with our takes on them and all the results from the shows that we cover here at Going In Raw and what we felt were the must-see matches of the week. It's an evolving feature, but we feel like there's plenty of people out there, anecdotally anyways, that have left Going In Raw, the Patreon, or just the show or whatever, because they want to keep up with wrestling, but they're not watching it anymore, and they don't really need the minutia of a daily podcast. Yeah. And so this is for those people. It's those people who are like, man, I missed Raw this week, didn't feel like watching it, and I don't have time for an hour of Steve and Larson. Hey, you got the Kip Up. You can read those results, and if something interested you, you can go back and check it out.
Exactly. Speaking personally, there was that stretch from about, 2003 to 2011. I didn't really watch a whole lot of wrestling, but I did keep up thanks to a newsletter I subscribed to. So, speaking from personal experience, it is beneficial. So if anybody else finds a benefit in it, hopefully give it a look.
And it's also the work in progress of our annual, what I hope is going to be our annual
almanac, right?
Almanac.
Yeah,
dude, listen. This right here. Where is it? This one right here. Yeah. Back when we were in college.
I don't think there's anything more influential in our wrestling fandom than this particular almanac.
Right here.
Yep.
Was it 1998? Was it this one or was it the 99?
It was the other one. It was
this one?
I can know it. Show me the picture on the inside cover, and I can tell you which one it is. I can't even see what that is. It's all blown out on my screen.
A bunch of dudes.
All right, what's on the other one?
I swear it was 90. I swear it was 98.
It's that one.
So we're gonna conglomerate the Kip Up into our yearly almanac, and then sell it at the end of the year in print form. That sounds fun. Anyways,
that could be fun.
We're not here to talk about all that. We're here to talk about Wrestle Kingdom 16, 2022. The 2-night, I know they call it 3-night event, and I know they're considering this Noah thing the third night of Wrestle Kingdom, but given that it's happening in like a week or something like that,
it's happening
8 days
this weekend.
after
It's happening, might be very well, it's on the 8th, so if my knowledge of time zones
be
is
tonight.
Correct, it will have happened by the time this video goes up,
Yeah, which is fine. But that's like a special event thing that has nothing to do with what the actual Wrestle Kingdom. This year Wrestle Kingdom, it's interesting to see where New Japan is at, where they've been. I mean, I feel like more than, well, I don't know. I guess you can say this for any company. The past 2 years for all of us, including all the wrestling companies, have been challenging ones and cause for some adjustment with how they do things. Yes. Obviously, Japan has been dealing with COVID the same amount of time as we all have. And they took some time off in 2020 when it first hit really bad. And, of course, they've been recovering ever since. In addition to that, also, their plans for westward expansion were there was a massive AEW-sized wrench thrown into those plans, and I feel like we're still sort of seeing the consequences of that, even as of this Wrestle Kingdom. Although I do feel like this Wrestle Kingdom did feel in some ways as a bit of a reset to prior to 2019 when AEW became a thing.
Yeah, it did. They're celebrating, New Japan is celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. And kind of an overriding theme of a lot of the matches at Wrestle Kingdom was honoring the past and, to an extent, taking things back, as you mentioned, to about a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago. We got Okada walking out as top champ. You got Go Ace Tanahashi winning the U.S. belt. And then at the end of night 2, you had Naito come out and challenge Okada for, I would assume, New Beginning in about a month and a half's time. So these are all events that we've seen happen year after year, you know? And while I can watch Okada and Osprey wrestle a lot because their matches are always really good, it kind of feels like we're at the point now where New Japan needs some fresh matchups, you know? To freshen things up a little bit. At least that was kind of the thing I gathered from Wrestle Kingdom, because, like, apart from the House of Torture stuff, nothing was bad, you know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
The House of Torture stuff is bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's like
the channel bad.
I feel like House of Torture would be great in AAA, where those kind of overbooked shenanigans that make little to no sense are actually fairly entertaining. But in a place like New Japan, and here's the thing. You and I just want to get this out of the way. I want to freely admit this. We do not keep tabs on New Japan the way we used to, the way I think either of us would like to, simply because there's so much more product now. And because of their booking over the past couple of years, going back to the first major beat for me where I was like, what are they doing over there, was when they had Evil win the world title. That was bizarre to me. And there have been several steps along the way where I just felt like, man, this isn't the New Japan that I was into briefly for that period of like 2 years or so when they were firing in all cylinders. And again, I totally understand that, you know, AEW became a thing and a lot of their plans went out the window. And so they had to adjust. And I get that. And I know you want to make new stars. And I feel like they have, to a degree, accomplished that with names like Jeff Cobb, Zack Sabre Jr., who had a terrific G1, and I kind of want to see him, maybe now that the Techers have lost those titles, step up and do some more singles work.
Yes.
And so I feel like they're starting to figure, and of course they have Osprey as well. They're starting to really figure out what their future might look like, but there has been some stumbles along the way. I reached out to Karen Peterson, who gets a ton of, I mean, she gets her own shout outs on the show because she is really deep into the New Japan culture. And I asked her if she has some recommendations for some New Japan podcasts for people who are really interested in New Japan. If you want people who keep up with the product, who are educated a lot more than me and Larson are in the product, she said there's Post Pro Resu by W.H. Park, the monthly Tama's Island by Tama Tonga and Ross W. Bergman, where Karen's actually been on, and then Keeping It Strong Style with Jeremy Donovan and young boy Josh Smith. She also shouts out the Super J-Cast as well. But those first three are the ones that she highly recommends. If it's something that you're interested in, as opposed to waiting for you and I to come around, because there's a lot to review out there with WWE product, with AEW product, that's already kind of a lot. You know, we try to cover the major shows of New Japan, but if it is a topic that you're interested in, those come recommended by somebody that, you know, is a good friend of ours. I've been meaning to get Karen on the podcast here.
I know, something we need to do.
Wanted to do it for the Wrestle Kingdom preview. Unfortunately, the timing of the new year and how we were doing things just didn't work out. But, you know, maybe for a New Beginning, we'll bring her on for a preview of that. I think that could be a good idea.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
But yeah, going back to it, you know, like the main event of night 2, Osprey versus Okada. It was a terrific match.
It was really good. It was
a terrific match. Some of it felt like ground that maybe had been covered before. And I think, like you said, that sort of speaks to them needing some new matchups. I really hope that we do see guys like Cobb and Osprey, take those next steps. But it seems like for now, Naito, going back to Naito versus Okada, is going to be the thing to tread some familiar ground. Yep. Say, hey, we're getting back to what worked for us a little while ago.
Yeah, and it was pretty exciting seeing Cobb and Okada have their feud before the G1, and then Cobb and Okada go on their winning streaks during the G1, meeting the B block final with the spot in the tournament final on the line. And it felt like an opportunity for Jeff Cobb and also Great O'Khan to get some wins over established stars and elevate them to the next level. Didn't happen, unfortunately. And if it's a situation where they're going back to the tried and true, I guess I get it. It's not as if over the last year in the main event heavyweight scene they've really managed to establish a new star that can legitimately challenge for the top title, and as far as the main event, it was good. I can watch, especially Okada and Will Osprey do counter wrestling all day. Those sequences where they were counting each other was amazing.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Crisp,
it was so fast.
It was fast. It was great. But from a storyline perspective, I still feel like it's Osprey still trying to show Okada that he's better now. You up the stakes a bit by having it be for who's the world champion. But I don't know. It just feels like from a storyline perspective, things have been a bit of a state of stasis for a little while.
They have also had some major some major players.
Yes.
Be met with the necessity because of two things: Kota Ibushi's injury and COVID.
Yeah.
Keeping Jay White basically off. A year ago it was Kota Ibushi, Jay White, and which was a terrific match. And Jay White really was on the come up. Without COVID, who knows where he would have been? He might have been in the main event. I mean, they referenced at the end of the Okada Osprey match, they referenced Kenny Omega. They said so much of this. Well, Jay White, I think, was supposed to be kind of Kenny's replacement, and then because he was in the States, they ran with Osprey. Is what it feels like. I could be wrong about that, but that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, I don't know. I do want to watch more of Strong, because I feel like
same.
that's the place right now where they're building up stars for the future. Like Great O'Khan, he showed some potential. I don't know. I mean, obviously they don't think he's ready to make the leap to the next level. Otherwise, he would have beat Sonata. In terms of, because we get these classes of young lions who go on excursion and come back, and then the hope is they come back and make an impact, I would think. I think for us watching New Japan for the window we have, Jay White's kind of the template. He won excursion, came back, bang, made a pretty huge impact right away. And I know that's not going to be the case for everybody, but when New Japan, it feels like from us, granted we don't watch it every week or every month, seems like to us they could freshen up some matchups. It's the young lions coming in from excursion and getting their characters, getting their gimmicks, getting their styles in place. That are the ones that feels like, okay, let's develop them and get them up into mid-card scene and eventually main event scene. It's just maybe COVID had a lot to play with that. I don't know. It just feels like it just feels like it needs a little bit of a freshen up.
I do feel like COVID probably has thrown them for much more of a loop than they would have appreciated or they would have liked. But it's like any other wrestling company. When you have something that's really hot, and Naito and Okada, Naito especially, was like the hottest thing. And then as soon as he finally that long, and them, they love their long-term storylines. Yeah. And it's difficult to do that when we don't know what's going to happen 3 weeks from now with this variant that's out right now.
I know.
And so with the travel issues especially, that's a pain in the ass with what you're trying to do with Strong and the crossover that they probably like to have with the main product, not being able to do that because of travel restrictions. I would imagine that it has probably thrown them for much more of a loop than, like, for example, WWE, who's just here and they can do whatever they want. AEW, they can do kind of whatever they want.
Totally.
And so I do give them the benefit of the doubt.
Oh yeah, totally.
As far as guys like Cobb, he had a killer G1, and everybody gets up to a certain level, and then they face the loss, and then they try to get back up to that level. So him versus Naito, I kind of understand. I bet on Cobb winning that because he's been on such a tear. But you also have to remember with New Japan, they reach a certain limit, they fall. They get back to a little higher, they fall. And so I think that's probably happening with Cobb. Great O'Con, I don't know. I don't see much in the Great O'Con. I know they do. I think they do. But, man, I do not see a lot in that guy. And so this year his match was with another guy. I'm sorry. I've tried a million times with Sonata. He's to me, he's LIJ's Great O'Con. It was fitting this year. They just sort of fought each other. It's like, I just don't, I don't know. I don't see it. But yeah, it's different when there was, when there was Bullet Club, who was just running roughshod, but then you had LIJ, who was just as popular. Right now, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's still.
I think it's
just
still LIJ. I think they're still the top faction. Also, there's that stretch where when you go watch a New Japan show, like especially a Wrestle Kingdom, that was the best wrestling you're gonna get for the year.
That's another great point. The best one of. Nothing this year at Wrestle Kingdom felt as fresh as it did the first couple years. And granted, I understand the first year I watched it all felt fresh because it was my first year watching. I understand that. But the next 3 years or so felt like, oh, wow, we're going to see the tippy top. Yeah. There's so much competition out these days. And obviously another reason why, because it was the first time, not the first Stardom match I've seen, but Stardom these days is killing it. And one of the freshest acts that, came off on this show was the Stardom match. Granted, it's a different promotion. It's Joshi wrestling. But man, I mean, I still haven't seen the Queendom match. The Queendom main event. Hayashishita and Suri again. Yeah, I want to check that out. I heard that was absolutely amazing. Stardom's been doing some really great stuff. They're getting that kind of buzz that New Japan had a couple of years ago. Yep. So that's what I want to check out. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that, a lot of that great wrestling, maybe we just sort of take it for granted that that's the place where the great wrestling happens. Now that they've been on the scene in a very popular mainstream way now for 4 years, it's difficult to keep that buzz up. It is.
It is. And I kind of wonder if the 2-day, or in this case 3-day, Wrestle Kingdom structure, because now they every year now, like for the Double Gold Dash, when they first did it, it was cool because it was a new thing. Yeah. And even last year when Kota Ibushi did it, he had a very distinct purpose for doing it, and I understood it, Yeah. He essentially said, I want to become a wrestling god, and to do that I have to win both these belts at Wrestle Kingdom, Yeah. And this year, it was like, who's the real champion? Because you have Shingo walking in with the belt, but Osprey had to vacate it because of injury, and then Okada wins the G1 instead of getting briefcase, gets the old belt, and it just felt a bit more manufactured in terms of how to motivate the 2-night deal. Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense. And maybe because they didn't have everybody they wanted available for the show. Some of the first night felt like a bit of a Road 2 show. No, that's it. It motivates the 2 nights even less without having guys like Jay White there or Kota Ibushi's out with injury. I understand that they announced this. Did they announce 2 nights at Dominion, or was it last year at Wrestle Kingdom? At the very least, it was Dominion. At the very least, it might have been last year at Wrestle Kingdom. Let me check my notes because I usually make a note. I mean, I just don't know that this needed to be, the necessity was there for a 2-night show. I really, well, I mean, I guess 3, but like a 2-night show. I mean, you could have boiled this down to, and I understand New Japan doesn't like to do triple threats. I get that. But if any situation warranted a triple threat, Shingo, Osprey, Okada, maybe this would have done it. Now, maybe that's me who's used to watching 8,000 hours of WWE every single week. But I don't know. I feel like this could have been boiled down to one night. Again, they have no idea what was going to be happening with the world here in January of 2022 when they booked this in June.
if that was the case. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of felt like it should have been one night. But like you said, lots of great wrestling. I know we sound like we're probably complaining
I don't want to sound like we're dumping on the show because it wasn't a bad show apart from the House of Torture stuff. It was a really enjoyable show. Both main events, both nights were really good. The Kenta Tanahashi match was great. I feel awful for Kenta because apparently he really busted himself up on that last the second to last spot.
He's another guy who I hope he moves on from the U.S. scene and moves up because I mean he teased that years ago. I mean he challenged for the top title years ago.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see him get back into that main event scene because I think him, Cobb, Zack Sabre Jr. Those are three awesome names that could be.
They're all guys that not only want to see get into that main event scene, but actually start winning matches in the main event scene. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. But then. Again, when you're New Japan, you're sitting, well, what's going to draw? Well, we know who draws. Okada, Tanahashi, and Naito.
Yeah.
You got to start doing your damnedest to build these other guys to get to that level. That's easier said than done.
I know
probably.
it is, but and they tried to do that with Evil, it seemed, but there really wasn't much of a build. He turned on LIJ and then he just won
it was
the titles.
That was terrible. Yeah, that was awful.
And it was out of nowhere. It was underwhelming. And ever since Evil turned on LIJ and joined Bullet Club, and now this House of Torture thing, it's just it's the most sports entertainment type thing that New Japan does.
It is. It totally.
And it's like
is,
all the worst habits of that particular type of booking, that WWE booking, where it's just constant interference. And like the Ishii match, I told you before you watched it, I was like, dude, there's like 5 wrestling moves in this whole match, and the rest is just overbooked nonsense.
I didn't think it would be that bad. It was that bad. It was ridiculous how bad that was. It was cartoonish. I was disappointed. The show versus Yo was just infected with the House of Torture stuff. There was I don't know, show shouldn't be cartoonish. He should be menacing, and this stuff where he's just like cartoonishly guffawing at the crowd while he's got Yo and whatever maneuver he's got him in. It was just cartoonish. It was silly.
Yeah.
And I thought that relationship deserves a lot more respect than that House of Torture stuff.
Yeah. There's nothing about House of Torture that's menacing or frightening. It's all infuriating.
No.
And it's not like I want to see these guys get beat up. So they get their comeuppance. I don't want it on my TV.
So I'm not there because it makes me it's unintentionally funny, which to me still makes for wrestling that I'm okay with. As long as you're not boring. And to me, I don't find it boring. I just find it funny at this point. But it's not doing anybody any favors.
No, see, I get that point. I just feel like this is stuff I've seen enough of, not just kind of in wrestling at large.
Yeah.
That I'm like...
It's not Happy Corbin to me. But I can understand if it is to you.
It might be. It might be on that level for me. That's because it's the same thing. You have a match with any member of House of Torture against anybody, you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah, Dick Togo.
Exactly. I know. A lot of Dick Togo. A lot of interference, and not a whole lot of what I want to see in wrestling, which is actual wrestling.
Well, it's not what I knew New Japan for. I think that's the thing. It's like when I see New Japan, I'm like, man, we're going to get some awesome wrestling and they're going to cut the bullshit. House of Torture is nothing but bullshit. It's all bullshit. And it boggles my mind because I'm like, you guys weren't like this before. And now you're just engaging in these shenanigans, which are like not what you do. But at the same time, like I said, I can appreciate ridiculousness. And whenever I see Dick Togo, I'm like, here comes the garrote.
Yeah.
Here comes the casual steel chair when the ref is distracted.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Now if every match with House of Torture, they'd have a spot similar to what we saw with Dick Togo leaping off the apron about a second later than getting hit off the apron, going to the table, then it would be somewhat redeemed because then, yes, I would laugh.
The overbooking is just it's tedious at this point.
Yes, that's
it's like it's uninspired, overbooked, ridiculous. Anyways, let's just go ahead and jump into this. It kicked off with the New Japan Rambo. This was the match in 2017. I decided to turn this on. This made me realize I need to stick with this. Now this year, of course, and I think last year the Rambo is tied to the King of Pro Wrestling stuff. So the last 4 members that are left standing in the Rambo, in the Rumble, will move on to night 2 for like a 4-way with like some weird special rules, which will dictate the new provisional King of Pro. Because didn't Yano come out of 2021 as the King of Pro Wrestling?
Yeah, the first 2 years of that particular trophy. Yano has finished the year as champion, therefore is champion finishes as champion instead of provisional champion. But they kick off the new year at Wrestle Kingdom, crowning a new provisional champion. As you mentioned, this battle royal sets the final battle, if you will, between the final 4 contestants. This was a fun enough battle royal. You got Hinare and Chase Owens start. And I think they said for the 3rd year in a row, Chase Owens was amongst the final 2 and lasted the whole duration of the battle royal.
He's still that Texas heavyweight champion too. So boy, that's been he's been on that for a while.
Yeah, he has been. Minoru Suzuki was in it, and it was great. He came in, immediately eliminated all the young lions.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
Right.
We got Fujinami in here as a cool surprise.
Yeah, he was at the very first New Japan show, I think, 1972. This guy's super old.
He is. He's still doling out dragon screw leg whips.
Oh, he's great.
So Yano comes out, number 19. He's the last one in. He low bridges Hinare out, and then I believe Chase Owens and Sima. Sima did a double pin on Makabe and Fujinami, while Fujinami had Makabe in a figure 4. So the final 4 were Minoru Suzuki, Chase Owens, Sima, and Yano. And then once they all kind of realized, hey, we're the final 4, everybody started beating the hell out of Yano.
Oh, yeah. Not shocking at all. After that, we had Sho versus Yo. Again, with the kind of heat you would think this relationship would have, and this being a Wrestle Kingdom match.
Yeah.
I mean, these are 2 pillars. They're going to be around for a long
I wonder
time.
if some of the heat got blown off when they had their match during the Best of the Super Juniors.
That could be. That could have been. Plus, I think they had a match since then as well.
Well, they had They had one match which Sho won, the first one, and then I believe
Sho won the first one.
And then
Yo won the next one
at Best of Super Juniors.
Yeah. So I figured, you add House of Torture to that, Sho would probably win here, but no. Yo won, but it wasn't even. It was like it was just sort of. It was silliness. It was a roll up, and it was after just too much. It was too much Dick Togo.
Yeah, there was. Dick Togo was trying to distract the ref, and Sho got a wrench, takes a swing at Yo. Yo ducks that, pushes.
Yeah, the
Sho
wrench stuff. That's right. The wrench stuff with him just being really over melodramatic and cartoonish.
I know.
With it was just ridiculous.
So I guess we did see Dick Togo go flying off the apron here because Yo pushes Sho into Dick Togo, so he goes flying off the apron. Sadly, no table ringside for him to go through though. And then Yo rolls up Sho for the win. Afterwards, Sho beats up Yo and then hits him with the wrench, or tries to, and then runs into a super kick instead.
Yeah. After that, we had some 6-man action. Again, this was the most Road 2 match you could possibly ask for, because on night 2, of course, you've got Kenta and Tanahashi in a no DQ match, which is a rarity for New Japan. I don't know if they've ever done one, or it's just very rare.
Was it last year or 2 years ago, we got Mox versus Lance Archer in a death match.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, yeah.
They were actually saying that during the show that the U.S. title is kind of the one title that tends to have the kind of more extreme stipulation matches.
Okay, yeah. So it's Tanahashi, Rocky Romero, and Taguchi. What do they call them? The coaches?
Mega coaches.
The mega coaches versus Kenta, LP, and Ishimori, who are going to be competing the next night against mega coaches and the current junior tag champions. And so, again, kind of a Road 2 situation here where Bullet Club wins via DQ because Tanahashi is channeling his inner GCW, trying to get extreme with the kendo stick to Kenta, and that would play out the next night.
Yeah, the ref called for the bell because he wouldn't stop hitting Kenta with the kendo stick. Next, we had United Empire taking on LIJ. Predictably, Bushi got pinned here by Will Osprey following a hidden blade. Will Osprey was like, I'm going to take this match off and come in when it's absolutely necessary. I guess I should have known that United Empire was going to take an 0-4 the next day because they got a promo after their match and stood tall as if they'd actually won, 6-man titles or something. Yeah.
Enforcer really cleaned up the next night. Sometimes, He'll do that. He'll just go to sleep. He'll put in his predictions, go to sleep, and then he'll wake up a winner.
Wake up champion, indeed.
Sort of his gimmick, yeah.
Yeah. So after that, we had Ren Narita was Shibata's mystery opponent. This was a lot of fun. This was great to see. Before the match began, Shibata grabbed the mic and says, yeah, this match will be under pro wrestling rules now.
So walking into this, it was supposed to be just a catch wrestling match. Yeah. Allegedly, this is a shoot. Apparently, he came out there. Nobody knew he was going to do this. I don't know if Ren Narita would have known or not. But apparently nobody, like, he did not clear this with anybody. He just got on the mic and was like, yeah, we're going to do this like a regular pro wrestling match. So strikes are allowed, right? And so, man, it was so much fun to see Shibata, but holy crap, the ball's on that dude to go out there and just be like, I don't really want to do a catch match. That sounds boring.
I know. I mean, even though that's what, he said it's not going to be a catch wrestling match to start. That's how it started anywaes. It started really technical and them jockeying for position.
Well, that's his nickname, the wrestler.
Yeah, I know. But he's been gone, 4 or 5 years, hasn't lost a step.
Jeez.
And I know he's been training. He's been training students at the LA dojo, so I'm sure he's in a ring every day.
This was so smooth. It was amazing.
Yep,
yeah, that finish was absolutely great. Where Ren tries to go for the kick, Shibata grabs it, slaps him on the face, twists him around, puts him on a sleeper, and then follows with a pin and knocks him out, and then gives him the PK for the win.
Yeah,
so just boom, boom, boom. It was beautiful.
It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
Next, early contender for worst match of 2022: Evil versus Tomohiro Ishii for the Never Openweight title. You think this is like the worst excess of House of Torture bullshit right here.
Yeah, right.
Because, instantly, pretty quickly, you get interference. You get Evil pushing the ref in the way of the Ishii clothesline. That leads to a ref bump. So Dick Toe goes in with the garrote. Tokyo pimps in there, too. They start beating up Ishii. Ishii blocks a DDT from Yujiro, shoves him into the Dick Togo, and then sends Yujiro into the exposed turnbuckle. And then Ishii goes after Evil. But then Sho hits the ring, hits a German suplex. He's looking for a shock arrow. Yo runs in to make the save. Hits the plancha on Sho. Eventually, though, Sho distracts the ref, so Yujiro goes in there and low blows Ishii, and then Dick Togo gets in the ring to distract the ref, so Evil can hit Ishii with the Never title and hits his finish for the win. And I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking, what the hell is this?
So I understand, the crowd was under, the standard rules these days for COVID. They're not. I don't think they're not supposed to clap. I don't think.
I think they can clap because there was clapping. They're not allowed to cheer.
No. There was clapping.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was Charlton. I thought somebody mentioned that they were under a no clap rule. Maybe it's just the no cheering rule.
Yeah.
But by the end of the main event night 2, they were into it. They weren't giving a shit about the rules. So if the proper amount of action was happening for people to give a shit, they'd be doing stuff. This crowd, it was as if it was an empty arena.
Yep.
They were not into this at all. Nobody cared about it. This was I didn't realize just how bereft of actual wrestling there was in this match. You told me that, and I was like, that's got to be exaggeration. I was like, oh my God.
No,
there's no wrestling in this match.
Basically no wrestling. Just all interference. It's too much, I tell you, too much. Then we got Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi versus Dangerous Tekkers. The whole story with Goto and Yoshihashi is they're going to win the tag titles, and they won the tag titles.
So they won Tag League.
Yeah.
They've been putting together wins, and they won this. And I like how at the end, it's funny when LIJ won the titles from Dangerous Tekkers. Zack Sabre Jr. couldn't get over it. He was like, oh, come on, let's have a rematch. Come on, have a rematch. Let's do a rematch now. Come on, let's do a rematch. At the end of this, they were just like, hey, good job. Well done.
Yeah, I know. Taichi gave Yoshihashi a hug after Yoshihashi offered a hand.
Yeah.
And then Zack Sabre Jr. gives him a thumbs up, pats him on the shoulder.
Right. I'm off to a singles run now.
Yeah.
No rematch. I don't want a rematch. Don't ask me to rematch.
It was fun.
I like Yoshihashi's gear has really stepped up. We talked about this on text messages a little bit. I'm glad he got rid of the loose explosion. I feel like that was holding him back. There's various shades of green and Volt. He seems to be able to find his way into a ring without knocking himself out.
Oh, goodness.
That was one of the funniest. Like, it was messed up.
It was because he got
because
busted open,
bleeding
and he was
profusely.
He got his bell rung when that happened too.
But it's like Benny Hill, man. It's funny. Like, pratfalls are funny, dude.
I know
they are.
I know. Then we got the junior heavyweight championship bout. El Desperado, the champion, taking on Hiromu Takahashi. I was actually pretty surprised by the outcome of this. I thought, Takahashi, he's super over, super popular. Yeah, sure, he's going to win this. I know he and Desperado have history together.
Yeah, he was also the guy really advocating for a junior heavyweight match to main event Wrestle Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
They called this a co-main event. It was on night one of Wrestle Kingdom.
The second to last match, yes.
You had 4 opportunities to technically main event this year. So they got this done. It was a relatively quick match compared to what we usually get out of a Takahashi. It was like I think
it's like 15 minutes or 18 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 17. I think Wikipedia had it at 17. But no, it was a terrific match. Desperado has just been doing really terrific work. Like, again, this is the kind of thing, dude, where because we don't keep up as much as we probably would like to. That's, I think, why we felt that Takahashi. I ended up going because I was reading a bunch of previews for my predictions, and I was like, oh, okay, seems like they're going to give it to Desperado. Seems like there's a good chance of that. That's why I went ahead and I think I picked him for the predictions because I read the preview. So yeah, but no, this was a really good match.
It was good. It was really good. It was really good. Desperado ended up getting the win with 2 Pinche Locos after he and Hiromu traded right hands.
He looked like $1 million too with the white face paint and the white mask.
And he
looked great.
Gold face paint too.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah.
Then we had our main event for night 1, Okada versus Shingo Takagi. This match was tons of fun. Again, two guys I can watch wrestle all the time and not get bored of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, this was great stuff. Some of it, I mean, I felt bad though. Like, Shingo, the world champ coming in, it shouldn't have been the other way. Like, the guy, Osprey, who had to vacate it, he doesn't really have a claim to it. I know he carries it around with him, but do you think this should have been the other way?
Yeah,
Osprey night 1 versus Okada?
I do think so.
Yeah.
Or it should have been Osprey and Shingo night 1, and then the winner of that faced Okada night 2.
Yeah, but like, Shingo's walking in as world champion. That's why I feel like he should get night 2 regardless. It's like, hey, look, I'm the top of the heap. I get the main event of night 2. Y'all could figure out but Okada won the G1, so he should get the world champion. But then last year they had the briefcase on the line, night 1 or whatever it was.
No, it was Goto won the G1, but then lost the briefcase to Jay White. So Jay White had the night 2 main event locked in.
That's
and
right.
Okada had to wrestle, or Ibushi had to wrestle. Was it Okada night 1 or night 2?
It was probably Okada because night 2 was Ibushi versus Jay White last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Jay White just grasped me. That was a great visual. Jay White, and then he wakes up and he's like, "Oh, I lost."
Yeah,
he's trying to grab at the titles. They took it away.
It was so good.
Yeah, Jay White's best, man.
Yeah,
he's so
awesome.
good.
He's awesome. This match was awesome. In typical Okada main event fashion, the end just saw a bunch of attempts at finishers reversed into other moves. Eventually, though, Okada counters a drop kick. Counters. Shingo's looking for a lariat. Okada counters with a drop kick, hits a landslide tombstone and a rainmaker to get the win.
Yeah, he kicked out of like 2 made in Japans, but Shingo couldn't get his finish off. Last of the Dragon, yeah.
And for the longest time, Shingo had a counter for every time Okada would try to do a rainmaker.
Yeah, right.
And then afterwards, Osprey comes out, confronts Okada to hype up the main event for night 2. And night 2 kicked off with the junior heavyweight tag title match, Mega Coaches versus LP and Taiji Ishimori, and the champions, Flying Tigers.
What'd you think of that Osprey promo at the end of night 1? Yo, Ringy looks cheap. He plays such a brutal heel,
Yeah.
like a British blunt trauma force object of some sort.
Speaking
Look,
of,
and he's got all he's like the gaudy jewelry on.
Mm-hmm.
He plays that up very well.
He does. Speaking of,
he does. Yeah, he plays. He makes me want to see him get his ass kicked.
Speaking
he plays it good.
Yeah, blunt force objects. We found out finally what was inside the loaded boot.
This was the biggest plot point of the entirety of Wrestle Kingdom because this has been forever, and yeah, so that happened. So a terrific road 2 for LP, stacking people and pinning them.
Mm-hmm.
Landed with everybody. They took out Ishimori mid-match, and they pinned him down, and Robbie Eagles got to take off LP's boot, and he looked in it, reaches in, and he grabs
Chunk of metal.
the chunk of metal, gives it to the ref, and the ref looks. Ref goes down, and he says, "These guys are out of here." And Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton are all both speculating, all right, well, does that mean all of LP's wins are going to be thrown out now?
Yeah.
Probably not, but they were thrown out of the match. So
I mean, LP was literally carried out.
The Young Lions came in, and then they carried him away.
It was a great visual.
Him away. It was really good. Yeah,
it was a great visual. So the Robbie Eagles makes a Rocky Romero tap to the Miller special for Flying Tigers to retain their championships.
Yep,
it's a fun bout.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I love that they finally paid off the loaded boot bit. That's been really fun stuff with LP. After that, we had the special Stardom match: Saya Kamatani and Tam Nakano versus Starlight Kid and Mayu Iwatani. Mayu Iwatani's gear always just makes me. It's like it's like the best of the 1980s.
It's so good.
Sort of, just awesome day glow colors on white. Oh, it's beautiful.
It's fantastic.
Starlight Kid's this match is a ton of fun. This is just like fresh, exciting stuff that I really need to get start catching up with my Stardom.
Same here.
I gotta watch that Queendom match or the Queendom card from the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just so much fun, dude.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The finish saw Saya hit a Star Crusher on Starlight Kid, follows with a Phoenix Splash to get the win. All sorts of fun stuff. That splash that Starlight Kid does on Saya off of Mayu's shoulders while she's standing on the second rope was insane.
Oh, it's nuts. It's great. Dude, even like the little details about how quick their roll-up attempts are. There was like a series of like roll-up attempts that just seemed like, not people just don't give enough respect to the roll-up. It's so goofy when like even on night 2 with Great Okan and Sonata, there was like a roll-up situation there where Okan just looked like a turtle on his back. And it's like, come on, man, just kick out of that shit. Like, you look stupid like that. But these roll-ups are all just quick. They seem real. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's my spiel on roll-ups.
And then we get our King of Pro Wrestling provisional title match. 4-way bout. Sema versus Chase Owens versus Minoru Suzuki versus Yano. You know what? We did our predictions. I was so close to picking Suzuki walking out of that Battle Royal, and I was so close to picking him winning here. He did win, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Him dreaming up all these crazy stipulations for his matches.
Terrifying.
I know.
Terrifying. I'm really happy about that, too. I'll be honest with you. I was as close as well to picking Suzuki.
Because we both know that Suzuki, he's scary. He does comedy super well.
So well. I got to check out the DDT Pro stuff that he did with them. And this Chris Brooks and a blow-up doll stuff. There's so much stuff out there.
I know, there's so much. So Suzuki ends up pinning Yano, hits him with a drop kick, sleeper, gotch pile driver to get the win. So Suzuki gets the trophy, and he's continuing to beat down Yano. In the course of that beatdown, Yano handcuffs Suzuki to the top rope so he can escape. So a young lion gets up on the apron to uncuff Minoru Suzuki. What's the first thing Suzuki does? Punches him right off the apron.
Yeah.
That's why Minoru Suzuki's the best.
He's great. He's awesome. He handcuffed Minoru Suzuki.
Oh, so good.
Yano's such a
This is the early feud of the year contender here. Yano versus Minoru Suzuki.
This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be so good. Not good. House Torture taking on Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, and Yo. Again, just more overbooked bullshit.
Yeah, this was just ridiculous stuff, dude. We had the garrote again. Somebody needs to ban that fucking garrote.
I mean, he walks to the ringside with that shit hanging out of his pocket. We know it's there.
Yeah.
Sho
did get to end up using the wrench, though. That was nice.
To get his team the win. They retain their never open weight tag titles.
Those are the silliest titles, man. For the last time I'll have to see if there's been an updated stat on that. Last I checked, 48% of the time it changes hands.
Crazy.
That's horrible.
Crazy. Then we get a bit where Pro Wrestling Noah invades Wrestle Kingdom. A couple of members of Noah drop some promos, and then Shingo, Bushi, and Takahashi come out. They talk some crap, and then end up walking away.
And we got a great selfie out of it where Muta took a selfie.
Yeah.
Where he looked confused, which is great. Old people looking confused. That's where we're ending up here. Anyways, yeah. After that, we had Great-O-Khan versus Sonata, my two favorite wrestlers in the world.
I love this bit where Kevin Kelly is talking about how Great-O-Khan's like primary strategy for any match is working over somebody's face, and that's like it hits doubly hard with Sonata because he's such a handsome dude.
Yeah, I like when Kevin Kelly accused Sonata of being too scoutable.
Oh yeah, it's too predictable. I know
his matches are too predictable, and I'm like, brother, I feel you.
This ended with the roll up Sonata. Great-O-Khan's looking for his finish. Sonata rolls that, or reverses that into a roll up to get the win. After that, we had Jeff Cobb versus Tetsuya Naito. Of course, Cobb's been on quite a run this year. You know, I thought maybe he'd go over. Nope. Didn't happen. Yeah. Nah,
man. We're back in 2017. Naito is going to be challenged for that world title. So Jeff Cobb's got to wait a little bit longer. I don't know, man. I don't think, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. United Empire isn't where they want United Empire to be, maybe?
I mean, it's 2 years in a row they've lost all their matches. All their singles matches, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe 2022 will be their year. Maybe they'll put it together. They need a different color. They need like a cool, here's the thing. It's the craziest thing. A cool logo, a cool T-shirt will take you so far.
I know.
So far. That's so dumb to say, but it's totally true.
It is. Better branding, they'll go further, yeah.
A faction that features green and gold as your primary. It's not even that. Green and gold can be cool. Look at the Oakland A's. Their gear is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really working for the United Empire.
No, but I think part of it's just the logo. They try to go like a very kind of regal looking thing.
Yeah, huh?
You know, it just doesn't really. I don't know. It looks kind of.
It doesn't work.
It looks kind of. Yeah,
it's goof.
It looks kind of goofy. This is a fun match, though.
Oh yeah, Cobb's great.
Seeing Jeff Cobb just overpower people is fantastic. That bit where he gets Naito up for like a stalling suplex on the floor, and while he's stalling, rams him into the ring post a couple times, and then does the running suplex out of that. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Naito,
good stuff.
Naito's working Cobb's knee all over the place. So the finish saw Naito reverse a tour of the islands into a calf crusher, again working the leg. Cobb forearms out of it, hits a great-looking deadlift German suplex. Naito responds with the enziguri, and then Cobb drops him with a clothesline. So he's looking for tour of the islands. His knee gives out, and then Naito eventually hits Destino. Only takes one in this match to get the win.
Yeah, Destino. Then we had Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kenta, no DQ. That GCW US title in action. Holy moly. I don't really want to see these guys do this again, to be honest with you. Tanahashi's way too old to be doing this. Ace does not need to put his body through this. We had
that ladder was tall.
It was a ridiculously tall ladder. I was sort of, I was really nervous. I mean, I had seen, I woke up. I didn't watch this live. I can tell you if I had seen this live, I'd have been really nervous. But even watching it on replay, knowing that all that really happened was Kenta's face exploded.
Didn't he dislocate his hip?
Was that for reals? Did he really do that?
I mean, that's what the update said, didn't it?
I don't know if that update was kayfabed or not.
Well, I mean, I guess it's possible. He walked out of the walked away from the ringside area. So New Japan tweeted that Kenta sustained a dislocated left hip, broken nose, tendon damage in his finger, and several lacerations following. So he can't. He's not taking part in the Pro Wrestling Noah.
And he's like Mr. Noah.
Yeah,
that sucks. That finish, the highest fly flow off. I was like, dude, you better not get to that top run, to like the very top. He got damn close.
I know.
He got damn close.
I know.
Yeah, he was.
That was a tall ladder, at least 12 feet.
Yeah.
Maybe 15.
It was just tons of kendo sticks and garbage cans.
Booze on chairs, people going through tables.
Yeah.
It was fun.
And those New Japan tables are crazy. It was fun, but I don't want to see Tanahashi put his body through that.
Well, I don't want to see Kenta put so the finish. So Kenta brings this huge ladder. It's like I said, 12, maybe 15 feet high.
Dude, it's huge.
It was humongous. And so he sets the table up at the foot of the ladder, and he puts Tanahashi on the table and starts to climb. Well, Tanahashi gets off the table and then kind of starts wiggling the ladder enough so Kenta falls off. And so he falls off, lands awkwardly, and then pretty much falls face first into a garbage can.
Yeah, and it looked like he didn't protect his face nearly at all.
Yeah.
And so like he gets, and he's got like a gash above his eye, and his nose is clearly broken.
Yeah.
Like you can see that side angle when he's laying there.
Yeah.
That thing is bulging towards the camera.
Yeah, it's really all swelling up. Yeah, it was bad. So then Tanahashi puts Kenta on the table. He climbs the ladder, hits the high fly flow basically off the top to get the win. But they got in that ring instantly and started putting pressure on Kenta's lacerations. He walked out though, which is crazy. If he has a dislocated hip, that's crazy to walk out of there.
That's like the one injury that I'm like, God, he really fucked up? Like he dislocated his hip? That's rough. Oof. Just remember that time my dad and I were leaving the Kings game, and it was raining, and that old man fell. And people were just walking around him. My dad and I stopped. We're like, all right, what do you need, buddy?
Yeah.
And eventually got him to his car, but he was like, yeah, I can feel my hip moving around in there. It's loose. I'm like, oh, God, you broke your hip. God damn it, man. Oh, you should never leave your house.
Ooh. Then we got our main event, Will Osprey versus Okada. Great match.
God damn, this is a great match. It really was. It was terrific. Like you said, that sequence when they just go and just like, what was it? Like Okada countered the drop kick attempt into a power bomb. Before that,
there was two sequences where there was a bunch of counter wrestling. There was that one, where Okada was going for a drop kick and ended with Okada going for the drop kick. Osprey doing that really quick snap power bomb out of that.
Yeah.
But just like all down the finish, it was obviously Osprey going for Stormbreaker, Okada going for a Rainmaker, and they each hit
the
each other.
Spanish fly from a Rainmaker was sick.
That was great. They each hit each other's finish.
Can we talk about Osprey's knees and how they don't explode when he does that moonsault? Because they went to the outside. There was that bit where they go to the outside. Okada launches himself over the barricade like he does, and I think Osprey like counted or something. Yeah, he super kicked him. And so they brawl on the outside, like beyond the barricade, and they go down to like where the tress is, and Osprey climbs it and hits a moonsault from like, I don't know, 10 feet up or something. And oh my God, like how do your knees not, especially with all that extra muscle he's packed onto his body over the past couple of years.
I know. And there wasn't a whole lot of margin for error on that, because when he started climbing, he had Okada leaned over some other piece of structure that was there.
Yeah.
So if he comes up short on that,
he's hitting that.
He's hitting that, and that's bad.
Yeah, right.
But no, he ended up almost overshooting Okada. Almost. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how a lot of these, like Charlotte, when she does the moonsault from the top to the floor, I don't know how she doesn't hurt her legs.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I don't get how wrestlers jump from such great heights, land on their feet, and not hurt themselves. It boggles my mind.
Yeah.
So I guess we can just fast forward the finish. So Osprey's looking. Go watch this match. It's really good. We could list a bunch of moves, but it's not going to do it justice. So Osprey's looking for a Stormbreaker. Okada counters with the roll-up. That gets him a 2. Osprey hits him with the hook kick. Goes for another Stormbreaker. Okada counters that with a clothesline, kind of like a short-arm Rainmaker. Osprey responds with a V-trigger, then a headbutt. He's setting up for the hidden blade. Okada instead hits him with a drop kick, then hits the landslide tombstone, which is the precursor to the Rainmaker these days, because after the landslide, it only takes one Rainmaker.
Yep. Yeah, it took one, and I loved Osprey's sell on it. He basically sold in pinning position.
Yeah.
And Okada pinned him after the match. He says, I'm the appropriate champion for the 50th anniversary of New Japan. And pretty soon after he picks up the mic, Naito comes out.
Just comes wandering through the crowd, yeah.
Yeah, a big old smile on his face. Okada gets a big smile on his face, like, hey, buddy, what's going on? And he says, I want to be next challenger for the title, and Okada accepts. So... good stuff. I'm gonna have to get used to that. I'm gonna have to get used to that new title they got.
It was cool to see Okada get emotional towards the end of his promo.
Absolutely, yeah. I know, because Inoki's got some health issues these days, doesn't he? Yeah.
Sound like it, yeah.
So yeah, there you go. There's your Wrestle Kingdom update. Maybe we'll do, you said New Beginnings in about 6 weeks or something like that?
Oh, I'm guessing. It's usually mid-November. Right. Or sorry, February, November. Jeez.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see about doing a proper review of that as well. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.